I kept pushing myself. I kept pushing myself, thinking like I should do this. I need to live like this because that's what society was telling me to do. And all of that led to being burned out. I just didn't have the energy to sustain, to commit, to be consistent to all of those things I was trying to do. Yeah, once I hit my Saturn return, I started just being more compassionate with myself. I started slowing down and I started setting some boundaries.
Hi, Molly. Welcome to this podcast episode. I'm so happy to talk to you today. We've been friends for a while now. We met in the Mental Projector launch. And yeah, so I'm going to introduce Molly to you all. She is a 6'3" mental projector. And of course, she's been experimenting with strategy and authority for a couple of years now. She's very passionate about human design. This is how we kind of got together. And she's an occupational therapist and author of the book Raise Your Standards. She is a holistic coach, a yoga teacher, and energy guide. And she helps women to slow down and really trust and connect to their bodies. And you're also really passionate about nutrition as well. I know that you've been on your own journey of discovery when it comes to what food nourishes your body, what's best for your body. So, yeah, really happy to talk to you today. Yeah, would you like to introduce yourself and
Yes.
what your mission is and how you want to help people?
Yeah, definitely. Well, thank you for that nice introduction. I think you really encapsulated a lot of the things I do, the things I enjoy, as well as my own journey, but how I help people. So yeah, I'm an occupational therapist by trade. So I went to school for OT, but that career path seemed to be unfit for me after several years. As a mental projector, not having that consistent energy to work in traditional medical and healthcare was really hard on my body. So after a few years of being an OT here in the States, my body hit a wall. I became unwell. I had a lot of low energy, irritable moods. I had a lot of these symptoms that really turned out to be burnout because I was living out of alignment. So after a few life adjustments and some reflection, I came across human design. And that was when I had my light bulb moment. I realized I'm not supposed to live like this or work like this. And I have to really honor my own process, my own experiment. So I went on this journey of deconditioning. And in that, I became much more attuned with my body and how I was treating it, how I was taking care of myself, which looks like sleep, exercise, food, stress management, my relationships, my own spirituality, my beliefs. So I would say human design was the pinnacle of really having to dive deeper into my journey, like what I was doing, what I was here for, and how can I enjoy life and not feel so pressured all the time. So yeah, I now work with women primarily on reconnecting them back to their body through food, through exercise, through mindfulness, but doing it in a way that is nourishing, not punishment. So it's getting back into the body, reconnecting with yourself, and then also developing an eating style and a lifestyle that's really suitable for you and your energy type.
Right. Love that. And so maybe bring me back to when you first experienced burnout.
Mhm.
How was that for you? And how did you kind of transition out of burnout again?
Yeah, I think, if I do a really honest audit of my past, I would probably say I was borderline burnout throughout high school into college. And probably once I entered adulthood, it became more apparent, but I didn't realize what it was. I thought it was just like adulting. I thought it was just like the struggle. And quite honestly, I ignored it for a long time. And I kept pushing myself. I kept pushing myself, thinking like I should do this. I need to live like this because that's what society was telling me to do. So I would say probably in my early 20s was when I was very extreme, living by the expectations of society. And as we say in human design, my not self. So really pushing myself too much and not honoring my own energy. And then it became much more apparent when I entered into my first like real long-term relationship. I was um, I was not aware of human design at the time, and now looking back, I know my old partner was a manifesting generator. So someone who has that persistent energy and someone who is just constantly going, but also someone who knows when to turn off. And as a projector, mental projector especially, I followed and amplified all of that, except I didn't know how to turn off. And traditional human design really advocates for projectors to sleep alone. I was not doing that. So I was also absorbing this generator energy, the sacral energy all night and during that relationship, and not really aware of why I was feeling so exhausted, in addition to trying to maintain all of these expectations that I put on myself, but that I also took on from society. So, what that looked like for me was I really struggled with, I would say, yeah, I really struggled with a lot of the balance components of life. I was very extreme with a lot of things. My eating, my exercise, the way I viewed myself was very hard on myself. It was extreme perfectionism. And all of that led to being burned out. I just didn't have the energy to sustain, to commit, to be consistent to all of those things I was trying to do. So I would say probably like it was my Saturn return that year of 27 years old when I was introduced to human design in this pinnacle of my healing journey of like, WTF am I doing? Why is all of this not working for me? And getting that clarity about things I needed to change, the way I was living, my nutrition, the relationships I was in, and overall my lifestyle, and then accepting myself for who I was. Yeah, very, very unique process, I think. And as a projector, something that isn't really supported in our Western society. So a lot of it was that deconditioning, and a lot of it was confronting. It was very confronting to realize I'm not wired the way society tells us to be wired. And then, of course, like really owning that, being discerning and trying to amplify or exemplify that in my own way. So, yeah, burnout to me, it was the feeling is hard to describe, but I had symptoms and it was very much I had some extreme health symptoms of anxiety. I was having panic attacks because I just like couldn't keep up with all of these expectations. I had a lot of digestive problems. I'd sleep of insomnia, which still kind of acts up once in a while when I'm being too extreme. And overall, I would say just behaviors of extremism. For me, that was burnout. It was like just trying to grasp at these expectations, and overall my body was just shutting down.
Right. And so how do you feel now after going through your Saturn return? Yeah. So you're a sixth line. I'm a sixth line too.
Mhm,
And we're the same age.
mhm.
So like we have a lot of similarities going on in our lives. Yeah, just tell me about how you're feeling today and what were the adjustments specifically that you made in your life.
Yeah, great question. Thanks for bringing that back around because um, the whole point is the transformation. And I feel like
Right.
starting, yeah, once I hit my Saturn return, I started just being more compassionate with myself. I started slowing down and I started setting some boundaries. And over time, I developed I guess I would say I developed my own awareness around what is right for me and what's not. A little bit of my intuition, but also practicing more of the soundboarding as a mental projector. And over the years, I mean, it's still an evolution, right? It's still a constant practice to refine. And now I just feel so much more at ease. I don't have as much pressure. I just take it easy on myself. And I think I really allow room for spontaneity. I'm very much like a left brained person. And then also in human design, I have three left arrows in my variables. And I always want to control. I always want to predict and I always want to plan and I always want to keep busy and I want to be active. But I realized a lot of that too was coming from this pressure I was feeling in my undefined root, as you can experience too as a mental projector. So, this pressure I was feeling. So, just being aware of that, and not having to take all of the action just gave me my power back. So now I'm feeling, I guess the way I approach things is just, I don't operate from shoulds as much. And I really try to be selective because not everything's worth pursuing and doing. However, I will caveat a bit here because you did mention the sixth line. I'm a 6'3", so yes, I have that trial and error experience, and then I also have that on the roof phase. So just kind of detaching and integrating what I've been through. But my third line likes to play games with me and say, hey, you haven't learned this yet, or hey, this sounds cool. Like I'm curious or I'm interested. So sometimes I still get caught up in doing too much, but I know it's part of my process. That's why I leave that room for spontaneity and I try not to just like completely throw myself into non-engagement or detachment because I know my third line's going to be coming around and saying, actually, I want to get involved. Actually, I want to try this. So there's this constant like back and forward between wanting to not be involved, but then also knowing and wanting and needing the experience to learn. So it's like always a juggle, but like I mentioned, as I've gotten more clear and aware of how I operate, I've been able to be more selective. And I don't take every impulsive action or jump on every opportunity anymore. It's more like I'm just more discerning about what's actually beneficial and helpful. Even if it doesn't bring me to where my mind wants me to go, it still is part of my body's experience.
Right.
Does that make
I
sense?
I love I Yeah, it makes sense. And I'm only realizing now how much of a push and pull you must have as a sixth line going on the roof, but then also having the third line. I think I was not that aware about you until now because I'm a 4/6. For like for me, the third line phase, that's kind of like over, even though of course, like I experience it still in my life, right? And I'm super confused sometimes. But for me, like I just feel way more chill than I used to be in my
Mhm.
20s. Like I can say no to parties and I can say no to a lot of things right now. And I just love how you were just explaining. There's just, once you know your human design, your body graph, and then there's just this little awareness shift to bring your power back. And sometimes that's all that it takes.
Mhm.
So yeah, that's why human design changed my life so much as well. Just the whole awareness shift around your own energy and how, you know, how you can use it in the best possible way for yourself. Um, yeah, so how okay, I have two questions. Where should I go with this? Um, yeah, I have one question. You said that you can answer this question for me. What do you think is the difference between a projector burnout and a generator burnout?
I love this question. Yeah, I have observed this as also as experienced it, right? So as a projector burnout, it's going to look like adrenal fatigue, exhaustion, and maybe even a little anxiety along with that. There's going to be this feeling of uncertainty, unsettling, and quite honestly, could result in a lot of health problems too. So, as I mentioned, adrenals, that's connected to the root center. So, when we're under a lot of pressure and we're pushing ourselves too much, those adrenals burn out. And so that affects our hormones. So our hormones affect our sleep, our cycle, our moods, our appetite. So all of those things can get really out of balance when you're pushing yourself too much and operating out of pressure. And so I think for a projector with burnout, it might manifest or look differently for people, but I would say generally you're going to have some sort of adrenal fatigue. You're going to be completely exhausted. You will feel that bitterness and resentment, that not self theme, and you'll quite honestly probably question a lot of what you're doing, and which might cause anxiety. So on the other side, as a generator who might be experiencing burnout, they might not necessarily feel so exhausted rather than restless or depressed because they aren't feeling that satisfaction every day or they aren't getting that fulfillment, that feeling of fulfillment. And so, what that can also bring up are those feelings of frustration. So, they're not self theme of frustration. And also, just giving them some other health problems and challenges too, which might be more related to the body. So feeling like sluggish, could be digestive problems, but it could also be like joint problems because they're not moving their body in the ways that they need to expend their energy. And so, as a burnout generator, one other symptom they might experience is depression because they're not reaching that level of pleasure and satisfaction in their life. So it might just start feeling more like melancholy, that depression. And what they might tend to do as a result is seek out things that make them feel better. So, like numbing, escapism. They're like prone to, I would say, like addictions, things along those lines. So that can really be a byproduct of burnout is these other coping mechanisms. So they may also have similar health challenges. Obviously, everybody's going to be unique to their own experiment and their body sensitivity because there's other aspects of your human design that can influence like your health for sure. Another point I will mention with a generator is that they might have thyroid problems. So anything related to their throat, maybe they're trying to speak too much or get that attention, right? So that the throat chakra and throat energy center govern the thyroid and also the vocal cords. So they might have challenges with their throat, health conditions with their thyroid, again, metabolism, hormones, things along those lines. So there's different parts of the chart that will kind of lead more sensitivities that you can find when you're burned out. You can identify when you're burned out.
Right, right. Yeah, I think that, I mean, it really depends if you're like what center is defined and undefined in your
Mhm,
chart.
mhm,
Like me with the open root, like I can totally relate to um kind of like I don't know. Yeah, just being under pressure a lot
mhm,
and like wanting to, like, I have to do it, I have to do it, but then going back to, wait, do I really have to? Because
mhm,
honestly, like when I get depressed, it's when I have to do something.
mhm,
And but I don't want to do anything.
mhm,
I just want to read a book. I just want to chill. I just, I mean, for me, the most soothing thing is being one on one with a friend who really sees me and we can just have a conversation for hours. Like, my depression is gone within 2 minutes. Like, let's be honest.
yeah, yeah,
So it's knowing what truly,
mhm,
I guess, nurtures you.
yeah.
Um, yeah.
And I think, yeah, I think that really plays into your 4-6 line as well.
Oh,
And
yeah.
needing that, like, needing that recognition from someone. I think that's also very, like, for projectors, that's really nourishing. But for you specifically, kind of feeling that value, that connection with someone within your network, within your circle is probably so rewarding. Like for me, it really just depends when I'm feeling depressed or anxious. Oftentimes I need to get out and have a new experience. Like, that's generally for me what helps me, like, oh my gosh, like open up a world of possibilities again. Because it's oftentimes if I'm feeling that stuck and depressed and like anxious, I don't know what it is. I need getting out of my bubble and engaging in a new experience, whether it's just going to the grocery store and like having a brief exchange with the cashier can really shift a lot for me. So I think profile has a little to do with like that support, right? How we kind of, what we need. And then of course, and there's so many elements of human design, like our design itself, the energy type, but the arrows as well, the variables.
Right. Yeah, because you have an active body and I have a passive body.
Exactly.
So like now having this conversation, I'm realizing like how many little nuances there is in the chart that you can look at when you have burnout.
Mhm, mhm,
Even like, I don't know, for example, another mental projector friend of mine, Jen, she was on my last podcast episode. She's a second line. She loves to be in her little hermit mode, creating her arts and crafts and everything. Like she does so many creative things. Like that is nourishing to her. Like if I love that too. I have many second lines in my chart, but being connected with people for me is one of the most nourishing things. And I can remember, like in my early 20s, when I was severely depressed, but I also had burnout from work. I just didn't really understand
mhm,
yet.
mhm,
Um, and I had another friend. She was a really good friend of mine back then, and she was also depressed. So we would always just be together depressed,
mhm,
but when we were together, we were actually laughing nonstop.
mhm,
So we would make fun of life, we would make fun of our depression, but together. And that, so in that moment, I
mhm,
was never depressed.
mhm.
If that makes sense. So yeah, yeah,
Well,
just
it's
fun.
quite interesting, yeah, that you bring that up too, because I think a part of depression is related to emotions as well. And I think both you and I have a completely open solar plexus. Is that right? You have.
I have a completely open solar plexus.
Yeah. And so I think because I've also experienced something similar where I am amplifying some sort of emotion or feeling a certain way. And even around other people, like it can change so frequently. And even though there's like, there might be a baseline feeling, like you said, of depression, but that's varied, right? When we're with someone who we can kind of express that with and let it move and maybe even process it, we can take on a different emotion. And then when we're out of that circuit or bubble, we kind of embrace maybe that baseline feeling again, which can be caused by our own life experiences too. It's not always a projection. So yeah, I can really relate to what you were saying though. It's like knowing what it is that's going to nourish you, what you need to get out of burnout. And what I like to do with my clients and coach people on is using a needs wheel. So I have this wheel or chart that helps you look at just general needs. So the need for security, the need for variability, the need for connection, the need for to be important. So there's these different aspects of our needs, and helping everyone identify like where are you on the scale, and what do you need to feel complete or to feel better. And like, I know for me, again, I mentioned when I'm feeling like a little depressed or stuck or anxious, I need spontaneity, because it's generally because I have too much consistency in my life. And I, as my three line, my little adventure side is wanting to go have new experiences. That's often what's going to get me out of my little rut. But again, it's going to vary for everybody. And so that's why it's fun to kind of use your human design chart to help move through some of these experiences. Um, and that can be really, really transformative.
Right, right. Can you cry? Do you cry alone?
Ooh.
Can you cry alone?
You know, this is such an interesting question, because for a very long time, I felt like I was heartless. I felt like I was like, I don't have emotions. And I think there was a part of me that was resisting feelings. And also, I think part of like the six line experiment being a little detached.
Hmm.
I would say over the last few years, through my Saturn return and going through like this kind of awakening, I've unlocked that barrier and I've been able to access like emotions and process, because it's really the emotions from the external world that I'm processing. So to answer your question, yes, I've actually had some really powerful cathartic cries by myself, which for a very long time I resisted, and I was like, I don't want to cry because it's weak. Like, why should I cry? I have a beautiful life. I'm healthy, blah blah blah. But I've realized that it's been a really big part of my healing process and a big part of vulnerability, um, that I really encourage people to try to tap into that if that's an emotional process that they need, or maybe they don't know they need it. But I really try to encourage people to do some sort of release through crying. Yeah. I'm curious, like what is for
Right.
you? Are you someone who feels like you can cry alone and process emotions that way?
I was observing. Um, I can cry best with others.
Mm,
I do cry alone sometimes, but it's and yeah, I of course I had many times when I could fully release crying alone, but it's much easier for me with other people to
mm,
cry. And I love when I have a session, and we did sessions as well, hypnotherapy sessions, and people can sink deep into their subconscious mind and really from that point cry everything out with me. Like I like it when I can help somebody else process
mm,
their grief, let's
mm,
say, because I know how important it is for me
mm,
and how relieving it is for me when I have somebody else that can witness me in this uh, deep, yeah, in this deep grief that I have a lot of,
mm,
because I have the channel 6447, which is connected to the solar plexus actually. So I that's something that I learned just recently. So because of that, it is actually a very emotional channel. And you have the, I think, 463.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not, is that connected to the ajna or
I would
I'm not
imagine.
sure,
Yeah, I would
but it's
imagine.
logical.
Sure. It's logical.
It's very logical. Yeah, and mine is very abstract.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that has something to do with it as well. And of course, trauma. Let's not forget.
Yeah, right. Well, so much as a mental projector, just there's so much room for conditioning and so much we
Yeah,
take in and so much we take on all of the time. Emotions are everywhere, emotions are intense. And in addition to that, trying to find our way, trying to find our place is it's hard and it's hard on the body. And that's again where we're circling back to that burnout again. And one thing I'll say about the 6-3, because I think for me, profile is very important. Energy type, yes, authority, yes, but profile is also something that can really be eye opening for people. And for the 6-3, their keynote is resilience. And it's that body resilience. And it's always, no matter how low you go and how much you put yourself through, there's this underlying ability and strength to bounce back, to get back on your feet. And I think that's unique to the 6-3.
that's what I admire you for, actually. Yeah,
Oh,
because
thanks.
I was reading about that resiliency. So thanks for mentioning that. Yeah.
Yeah,
I feel kind of screwed because I don't have that.
I think
Or
there's, you know,
let's
there,
say I am strong. I know I'm strong. I know I'm resilient. I've been through a lot in life, and I kind of have like I'm never giving up mentality.
yeah,
But I also have the gate of the fighter many times in my chart.
yeah.
But I don't know, there's something about you, maybe also it's your active body, I don't know, but I know that you're in your body, you're like very strong. I
Mm,
do see
mm,
that in you.
mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think is it gate 29 that you're referring to?
38.
Okay, yes, which I believe I also have, but I also have gate 29, which is like the gate of persistence. And so it's like for me, it's like very much like I will do whatever it takes to get whatever it is I want. But, you know, that's a little bit part of it is the not self because it's connected to that or undefined solar or I'm sorry, the undefined sacral center. So there's actually not that like consistent energy to pursue it, but there's still something wired within me that's like, yes, I'm going to go. I'm going to do this. I'm going to follow through, blah, blah, blah. But again, it's discernment, just being aware of that is part of my design, but not everything is worth me diving into and committing to. And so using our soundboarding, our authority to kind of navigate that.
I want to talk about being seen. And you've been struggling with a lot of fear around being seen.
Mhm,
Um, and we've been working on this together.
mhm, mhm,
And like, I know you. I know that you love creating content. I know
mhm,
that you love showing up for other people. And you're also, with your variables, you are the one that is being observed. For me, it's the opposite. So you're kind of the person on the dance floor and everybody is watching you. I would be in the audience. And I really see that in
mhm,
your, when you create content and how you show up in the world, it's kind of like very natural for you.
mhm,
But you still came to me in the past and we soundboarded about this a lot because I mean, I've been struggling with that too, even just creating this podcast and showing up online and
mhm.
sharing. So, how did you kind of move through the fear of being seen?
That's a great question. Yes, I it's something I think that I always come back to, and maybe you experience this as well as a projector. We don't always see ourselves. So part of that process for me was really recognizing what I'm good at, recognizing what comes natural and what I am, recognizing seen for. Because I think oftentimes we get so caught up in observing other people and comparing, and then of course trying to be them instead of really recognizing what's unique to us. So my process has been a lot of just reflecting about what am I just naturally good at, and then helping using my human design to kind of see that. But going back to feeling seen, I think it really depends on who I'm with and the environment, because we know how important that is in human design as mental projectors. Is are we in the correct environment to be seen, and then are were we invited into it? So are there people that are naturally open to our uniqueness and our energy? So I'll just tell you a brief little story. I think you and I talked about this before a bit. As I mentioned, being seen is like dependent on who you're with. And when I'm around projectors, I can feel there's just such a different level of recognition. It's so deep and it's so beautiful. And it's such a juicy, like nourishing space that I don't necessarily get when I'm with generators or manifestors. However,
Mhm.
there's opportunity when I'm with generators and manifestors. There's opportunities to like dance as they use in human design as being like the guide to help facilitate movement, to help energy flow. And when there is that invitation with a generator, say, or a manifesting generator, that's the recognition. Like that's being seen. That's like sharing my wisdom and then just observing them and the way their body responds, the way their body reacts. And it's body language. And you can tell when it's like kind of like not their thing, or when they're very curious and interested, they might shift towards you, they might tilt their head, they might, gaze at you a little bit more, they might nod like, uh-huh, uh-huh, yep, I'm taking this in. And as a projector, that's very fulfilling to see that. That's that feeling of recognition. And for me specifically, you asked about, how am I being seen, or what does that look like? It's I think every day is different. I think it's a constant practice to see myself so I can be seen in the world. And I want to do a shout out to you because you've really helped me unpack um, some of those limiting beliefs and blocks that I had, maybe as a child or in a past life, that s- said I needed to keep quiet and small and not stand out for some odd reason, odd, I say odd, but conditioning. So that has been really helpful to just really recognize it's okay. A lot of it I think is in our head. We think like, oh, I'm being judged for this. Oh, blah, blah, blah. I can't share this. Oh, if I post this, people are gonna think this. It's like at the end of the day, they don't really care. And you not sharing, not showing up and being yourself is doing a disservice. So why not give other people the permission to be brave and be bold and be themselves and show up as 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 your unique self, as your way. So a lot of it for me has been an experiment as well, as like kind of testing that like discomfort, that feeling of like discomfort, but also knowing that it's my authenticity. It's the way I express myself. And showing up on Instagram or social media is just one way that I can share what I know, and then of course be seen, get visible that way by the right people.
Right, right. And when we share and express ourselves, then I think that just sparks something up something within us.
Mhm.
And I think others will just notice.
Yeah.
Like yesterday, for example, I had a bit of anxiety because some stuff were going on in my life, and I had anxiety. And what I did was I took that and I put it into a guided meditation, like video, audio.
Mhm.
And after that, I felt so much better.
Mm.
So I really alchemized that and put that into something creative that sparks something within me, because I mean that's really important to me. That's what makes me feel alive and connected to this, yeah, to this life and to myself. And it is, yeah, being with projectors, I I can't deny it. It is very different.
It's very different.
It's very different recognition
Mhm.
than from generators. Maybe I just don't have enough experience of being recognized by generators. I mean, I have definitely. I have a couple of generators that recognize me. I have a manifestor that recognizes me. But still, there is something different about projectors that I think
Mhm.
it's kind of like love language.
Mhm.
We know what we need. We
Mhm.
know the words and the recognition that we need, so we automatically give it to others, I guess.
Mhm. Mhm.
And I guess for generators, it's not that they don't want to be seen and recognized. I
Mhm.
think this is universal language.
Mhm.
I don't want to distinguish that much with human design. Like,
Mhm.
we're still human beings, we all have needs. And but I think for the generator, it's just, okay, am I fulfilled with this person? Not a like, do we have fun energy together, or
Mm. Mhm.
like, are we having fun together? Like, oh my god, look at this, oh, this is so cool. And then they're like expanding their energy. Like, this is how I perceive generators when they're like in a group. It's so warm and so, it's like so full of buzz.
Yeah.
And when I'm with projectors, it's like we're just sitting here
Adult.
talking for hours and la 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 la. It's so la la land. And yeah, and we just enjoy it so much. And when I'm with generators, or my best friend is a manifesting generator, it's not that we don't talk for hours, of course, but after some time, it's like, okay, do we want to do something now? Like, let's do something. Let's go. Da, 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 you know. And I don't have this need as
Mm.
much. I, I
Mhm.
d- I mean, I have it, of course, but
Mhm. Mhm.
again, maybe passive body. But yeah, what were we talking about? Being seen. Yeah,
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 I
and I
have
think
a
yeah.
I have a funny story about that, actually. I recently had 2 visitors, 2 friends come stay with me for a weekend. They're both I found out both generators. And so I it was 1 projector, 2 generators, and it was quite interesting because, as you mentioned, I similar as a projector, I was like, "I would love to just sit in my cozy home, drink tea, and talk all day. Alright, how are you doing? Like, what's up? What's going on? Blah, blah, blah." But no, they were very much like, "Okay, can we go to the park? Okay, what's next? Alright, we wanna do this." I'm like, "Okay." So it was part of my responsibility, I felt like, to guide them. And in the way I looked at it, my perspective was I'm their tour guide while they're here. So I'm gonna kinda show them around, and I'll go with them, but if they wanna go walk off and do something or go to that park or go downtown, I was like, I'm gonna let you girls do it. I'm good. I can tell you where to go." But it was very interesting being around their energy because it was so warm and bubbly. I mean, they're great people in general, but it was a very, like, just a different vibration in a way when we were all together because I felt that buzz. I felt the buzz, and I even kinda made a joke to them. I was like, "I feel like you guys are my power, like, I have an extension cord and, like, I'm being plugged into you and, like, I'm wired, and let's do this." Where naturally unplugged, I'm kinda like, "Eh, meh." takes a little bit more for me to get out and do the things, but having them as, in my aura allowed me to have the energy. Although I'll say, like, the few days after they left, I was pretty wiped out.
Yeah, I can imagine. Oh, I
Mhm.
love that. Yeah, being plugged in versus being plugged out. I so relate to that.
Yeah, it's very fun.
Um, yeah. So, yeah, also around like judgment, who cares, really recognizing who sees you versus who doesn't see you. I really understand who recognizes me and who doesn't after like 5 years of experimenting with human design. I really see that now.
Yeah.
And just how depleting it is when somebody doesn't see you, recognize you. Not even so much about like, oh, I'm giving advice and she doesn't care. It's not about that. It's just like in conversation, in flow with the person. Like, how do you feel? Are you drained or not? I think
Mhm.
that's a really big indicator, like at
Mhm.
least for me.
Mhm.
Yeah. Is there anything you want to share about this?
S I wanna say, or I wanna second what you're saying about feeling
Yeah.
depleted and knowing that difference between feeling depleted and then feeling energized. So, again, as projectors, we amplify the energy around us, so it can be hard to distinguish between, "Oh, was this person, like, energizing me and making me feel good, or am I just amplifying their sacral center?"
Right.
And later on, having that realization of like, "Oh, I actually don't really feel good around that person." So I just wanna remind people that, it's maybe not instant knowing for some of us, and it might take a little bit of time and experimenting with, "Oh, actually, this person may not be so great for me." It's like, I'm just actually amplifying their energy and processing it a little bit later on and realizing that it's depleting me. So it might not be an immediate knowing, but just having that giving yourself some time to reflect on how the relationship or the experience really went for you to have some clarity if that person is seeing you or not. Is seeing you or
Yeah. Life's too short to be around the wrong people
yeah.
and in the
Yeah.
wrong environment. Way
Yeah.
too short. Yeah, it's so important.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Okay. Um, yeah. So, Molly, I will share your Instagram, your website, your YouTube channel. So, do you have an offering on your website, right? What exactly do you offer
Yeah,
currently?
so I have a few things that I do. One simple, straightforward offering that I'm doing for my virtual clients is human design informed Reiki. So it's kind of a unique blend of using your human design chart to promote energy healing and really provide you with a reset or recharge of your body. And I use human design to be very specific. So it's hyper personalized and primarily like a guided meditation with Reiki, along with some chart insights. So I just sit with people and do the meditation virtually, and then we hash out some of the nuances of a chart that might help restore their body and their energy and then reconnect them with themselves. So I'd say that's one. And then a new offering that I'm doing is a one-to-one coaching for women who want to have more peace with food and love for their body. So this is really personal to me and something that I've developed really compassionate self-love around, and I'm working now with women on creating that in their life as well so that they can be empowered in their body, that they can feel confident around food and really live life to their fullest.
Yeah, when it comes to food, I tend to ask you a lot of questions
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
because I know that you are like, and you're like in my network, you are like an expert in my network. So I know who to go to when I have questions about food. I love that.
yeah, yeah.
Great. And I love how you combine Reiki and human design as well. We had a Reiki session, actually. I received a Reiki session from you, and I cried, and it was beautiful. And I had so many insights about my life and what still needs to be healed. And
Mm.
yeah, so guys, if you want to contact Molly, please do. You will only benefit from her wisdom and her guidance. I think she's amazing with what she's doing. And yeah, thank you everybody for listening and for watching. Please subscribe to my channel. I will continue recording podcast episodes. Definitely a lot of podcast episodes about human design, but also other stuff as well. Anything that has to do with healing or just raising the consciousness of this planet. I'm so passionate about that. And yeah, also share in the comments anything you want to share, how you found this podcast episode, or if you would like to share something personally about burnout that could maybe help others or help us as well. We're all on this journey together as a big community.
Yes, exactly. And thank you so much, Vicky. I love what you're doing, putting out these podcasts, these talks. 'Cause I really think it's helpful for people to hear other perspectives and know that they're not alone and really kind of validate their experience. I know that was human design for me. And then also diving a little deeper into your work as a hypnotherapist, providing just that deeper layer of awareness and recognition to yourself. It's super healing. I can also really attest and recommend your sessions to people, and I have. I know at any time someone's like, "I have this block. I don't know what to do." I'm like, "Have you talked to my friend Vicky yet? How about this? Are you open to it?" And generally, like, I let them take it from there. But you are also providing that magic, and I just want to highlight you for doing this as well. So thank you, and thank you for having me on as a guest.
Thank you so much, Molly.
Yeah.
All right.